What's going on, guys? Welcome back. The digital cluster in the new Mustangs is the coolest thing to ever happen to a Mustang interior. I want to dive in, hit every menu, and really show you every nook and cranny that the system has to offer. Let's get into it. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. When you first start the car up, this is what you're gonna see. Now, the middle part can be different. You can change, in the center what you see. But when you first turn the car on, this is what you're gonna see. Unless there is a setting where you can permanently change the gauge cluster. It changes between each driving mode that you do. And there is a setting that you can go just permanently change it to one of those. So if you had it changed to one of the other ones permanently, then that's what you would see. But just standard, all the settings standard, this is what you're going to see when you turn on. You can have your colors different, but this is what it's going to look like. As we flip through the driving modes, I'll just show you that first. Hit it once, you're in normal. Second, you're in my mode, and my mode is basically you just go in and change all the settings to what you want them to be. Kind of like a customized driving mode. You can change the gauges, the exhaust mode, the traction control, the steering mode, all that stuff. You kind of put it the way you want it and then set it in my mode. So that's what that is. Sport Plus, you can see it change like that. So you kind of get that, it's like half track mode, half standard mode, or half regular mode. And if we go all the way to track, you can get a little warning for track use only. And you get the full-fledged just bar across the top for the RPMs, which is pretty cool. I like driving in this. To be honest, when I first got the car, it was a little hard to get used to, but I found myself liking this mode the best to drive in. I think it's just the most fun. It's really, really cool. After that, you have drag strip. Doesn't change much. Snow wet. Go back to the regular one, and then normal. So that's what the screen looks like as you cycle through the driving modes. Now on the steering wheel, if you hit the pony button, you'll come up to a screen. So you have my mode, show status. This is basically, it's just going to show you what your my mode contains. So my driving mode is normal, launch control off, steering normal, exhaust mode normal. So that's what that does. The second one down is where you can control your exhaust. You got quiet. You can hear it get quieter there. It's pretty crazy. Normal, sport, track, and quiet start. That's the other thing that you have. You can go in here and get quiet start on, and you can also set the time. You see, I leave between 6 and 8 a.m., so I have to have, or I don't have to, but I choose to have mine on quiet start between those times. So if we take it back here, you got your track apps, acceleration timer. You can choose which one, which is pretty cool. Brake performance, line lock, if you want to do a sweet burnout. Oh dang, I think I just turned it on. That's the first time I've ever clicked that. Let's go back here. And lap timer. So you basically just track your laps. And start option. So those track apps are pretty cool. I haven't actually used any of them because I have not taken this thing on a track. Performance shift indicator. This thing's pretty cool. Basically, it's just going to tell you, when you hit a certain RPMs, it's going to, in whichever way you choose, going to tell you that it's time to shift. So you can choose your shift point. See? And shift tone. Basically, you'll just hear like a beep or some type of audible thing to tell you. And then shift light mode. So off, you don't have to have it. Tachometer. Let's see, which one do I have on? Tachometer, if you see that 7,000 right there on the RPMs, that basically when it gets there, the whole thing will just light up once you get there. Track is, I actually haven't done all these, so I don't even know, but shift. Anyway, moving on. Launch control. Turn it on or off. Choose the RPM. Rev match, can turn it on or off, simple. Gauges, so like I said, in the middle when you first turn the car on, how you can change it to what you want to see. Gauges is one thing that you can have, so show gauges. And that's actually what mine's on. So within the gauge configuration, you have this G-force thing, which is pretty cool. Some numbers, much stuff right there. And then you have some actual gauges right there. Back to G-force reader. You can actually come in here and configure your gauges. You can choose which ones you want to see, which ones you don't want to see, which ones are important to you, which ones are not. Next, my color. So you got your primary color, your my colors, secondary, ambient, and then create my color. So basically that's just how you can change the colors on the inside. I'll show you. We can go change this to ice blue, and it didn't stick out that much. Purple. There we go. And the secondary color, change it to red. And that's how you can change colors. It's pretty cool. And if you want to save that color for the next time you turn the car on, you're going to want to hold the memory seat button, and that's how you save the my color. Because if you don't do that, next time you turn the car on, it'll just be back to whatever it was normal, or whatever it was before you saved it. And cluster appearance. This is what I was talking about in the beginning. So unless, if you have this change with drive mode, then what you see when you first turn the car on is what I have now. But you can permanently change. If you like one of these better than the other one, you can just have it always that way. You can make it no matter what driving mode you're in. You can choose which gauge cluster that you see. So that's everything that's with the pony button. It's just kind of all the fun stuff, all the customization stuff. That's pretty much what you're going to see there. The other button you can hit is settings. If that's what you want to see on this main thing, there's your fuel economy, tire pressure, nothing. If you don't want to see anything there, you can have that. Trip 1, trip 2, and back to fuel economy. So this is basically kind of the more practical thing. If you're not like racing or on the track, if you just want some like fuel economy info, this is what you're going to want to go with, and that's under the settings menu. That's not under the little pony. Driver assist. These are all your little driver assist where you can turn it on or off. Auto engine off. That's basically you can set where I think after 30 minutes, if the car's been running, it'll turn off, so it doesn't get accidentally left on for extended periods of time. Blind spot monitor. That's going to be on your side view mirrors. The little light up to choose if it does or does not turn on if you want blind spot. Cross traffic alert. That's when you're backing up. It can sense cars coming from the right or left, not necessarily directly behind you, but if you're in a tight parking spot with some big vehicles on either side and you can't see what's coming, that will sense that, and on your backup camera it'll have a little arrow on whichever side a car is coming. So that is super cool. Definitely going to want that on. Hill start assist. Pretty self-explanatory. That's basically if you're on a hill, if you have a manual, it'll hold the car. The rear brakes will lock and hold the car until you can get the car moving forward. That's pretty useful. Moving on down, rear parking aid. That's basically just a rear parking sensor, and your wipers, courtesy wipe. So basically, just every now and then it'll just hit your wipers if it senses rain or wetness on them or something like that. Speedometer. You can make it in kilometers or not. I need it in miles per hour. Advanced settings, vehicle alarm, settings, all sensors, perimeter sensing. I think that's all sensors would be like interior and outside, or you can just do outside. Ask on exit, that's what I have checked, so I can choose which ones. I think you saw at the very beginning of the video what was up on the screen. It was asking if I wanted perimeter or all, and to be honest, I don't totally know what that means. I've never paid attention to it. Easy entry exit. That is when you turn your car off, your seat will scoot back, basically, and give you more room to get out. It's cool. I turned it off because it doesn't scoot back. Like, it scoots back, and when you get out, but when you get back in to start the car, you're like super far away from the pedals. So you gotta like extendo your feet or like slide down in your seat. basically to be able to, you know, press the clutch and turn the car on. So that kind of got annoying to me. As cool as it was, I just didn't like, you know, having to like really stretch like that just to turn the car on. So intelligent access, I believe that is the kind of the no key, like how the key, you can just open the door if it senses it, kind of perimeter opening. You can also lock the car just by holding your finger on the little indentions or the little lines on the door handle. So pretty sure that's what that is. Lighting, auto lamp delay, daytime lights. I think daytime lights look badass, so those are on. Auto lamp delay, you can just choose how long your lights stay on after you lock the car. Locks, auto lock, auto unlock, feedback, mislock. I don't know, kind of in some boring stuff right now. Oil life reset, I'm at 62%. If you need to go change that or reset that, you can do that there. Tire mobility kit, don't really know. Windows, remote open, so you can actually, when the car's off and locked, you can hold the unlock button and the windows will open. So that's just turning that on or off. All right, we go down to my key. My key is basically, you can set settings to a key. So basically, if you're like sharing this car with your kid, or if you were giving this car to your kid, or you wanted to put limitations on the car, then basically you can use one of the keys, go set, you know, a bunch of modes to that key specific, and when the car senses the car turning on with that key, you know, those modes will be activated. So, you know, if you're giving it to your kid and you want some, you know, settings set a certain way, then basically you just set those settings to that key, and the car will sense when that key is trying to start the car, and those are the settings that will be active. So my key status, create my key. Display setup, tachometer display. So basically, I'll go back all the way to the beginning. So if you see on the far left, neutral, if I put it over into first, second, back to neutral, you can see what gear it's in. You can actually choose, so you can do RPMs. I'll go back and show you. So it's at 620. I can kind of bump them up. You see them going up like that. I like to know what gear I'm in. I mean, you should, and you do know what gear you're in just by being in that gear. But as cool as it is to see the RPM like that, the numbers like fluctuate so much when you're driving. It's almost distracting to me. Like, if it was like a 6 point something, you know, I don't know, that'd be one thing. But if you see, I mean, you see how much they're changing. It's 4 numbers, and you can imagine as you're driving, accelerating, decelerating, shifting through gears, that number is just constantly changing. I don't really know why. I don't know. I know some people think it's really cool, and it is really cool, but to me, I find it a little distracting. That's why I like just to have the gear. It looks cleaner to me. Or you could have none. Go back to it. There. If you don't want any of that jazz, you can just have it like that. I like the gear, though. That's what I like to see. Measurement units, miles and gallons, kilometers, blah, blah, temperatures, Celsius, Fahrenheit. This is kind of all the boring, you know, stuff. Tire pressure. This is just metrics. Display setup. That should have said metrics. If you want to change the language, all that stuff. So that's it in settings. That's really it for everything that this menu has to offer. That's quite a bit of stuff, and actually it's really cool. I guess I'll go over what you see, you know, right here on the main screen. So on the left side, obviously, you got the RPMs. On the right, you got the speed. Up at the top, you see from left to right, you have the temperature. What's playing in the middle actually tell you what song, or if you're on a radio station or anything like that. And to the right, you have your direction. All the way at the bottom on the left, you got your miles, and on the right, you got your miles to empty. Your gas on the very bottom right, and then your oil gauge or your oil temperature on the bottom left. You can see something disappear there for the fog lights. If you see that light on and off, that's lights or fog lights, and then the little light indicator just over there. And then in the middle, like I said, you're going to see whatever you want to see. I like to see gauges because I think that is pretty cool, the little G-force thing. So I either have it on average miles per gallon, my MPGs, or that G-force thing, which I find pretty cool, actually. It'll tell you the little numbers on top, bottom, left, and right are your average. So obviously I've braked the hardest. I've accelerated the second hardest. And for some reason, take right turns harder than left turns, which is interesting because I have to hit a U-turn every time I leave my apartment. So I got to take a right and then bust a U-turn, which would be a left. I don't know, I guess I don't hit that fast. But yeah, just kind of, you can actually hold and reset if you want to. I don't want to, but you can reset those things. So that looks like it's gonna do it for this video. I just wanted to show you, you know, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to a Mustang interior, in my opinion. You could argue it. I don't know what you would argue it with, though. It's so cool. It's so badass. It's one of the things that I had to have on this car. You know, when I was looking at all my cars, this was a must-have. It was a deal breaker if it did not have this. It's just so cool to me being able to customize it, and you know, there's so many options, and it's just like, I mean, it's one of the first things when anyone gets in the car is like, whoa, you know, it's the first thing they look at. Everyone thinks it's so cool, including me. So I just wanted to go show a video of just hitting every menu, showing everything that it could do, what everything looked like, what you could change, you know, just kind of diving as deep as you can dive with this thing. So that's gonna do it, guys. Thanks for tuning into this video. If you enjoyed it, hit subscribe. Watch out for videos coming in the future. I got a bunch of cool stuff planned. Thanks for hanging around, guys. I'll see you next time.